Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good Guy Sports 2024 Holiday Special. We're joined by myself, host Blake Gerke, and then, of course, our usual cast, Jackson, Mike, and, of course, BL Blake Lineberger joining us as well. And today we've got some really fun topics. We're going to do a recap on everything that's been happening in the world of the college football playoffs, NFL update, playoff preview, and then a little bit of a fun Christmas quiz as well at the end of the show today. But today we have to start with a bit of a recap from a sporting event that myself and Jackson Gerke attended earlier this week. Jackson, me and you attended a Duke basketball game on Tuesday night against the George Mason Patriots.
Go
It was
Patriots!
Go Patriots, and they gave a good account of themselves. The Patriots did. Ultimately, Duke pulled away with the victory. It was a good performance. We were able to see this Duke team live and in person. Jack, what were your impressions of the game and your main takeaways?
Oh, it was awesome. Being at Cameron Indoor Stadium with the Cameron Crazies, there is nothing like it in one of the best, I say that's one of the top 10 or top venues in all of college basketball. It is like a high school gymnasium. It's very special, and Cameron Indoor Coach K Court makes it, I think, one of the bucket list icons for those who love the sport of college basketball and want to attend to a game there. This is my second time going. I've been there, done that. I'm just really I'm just one of those people that's a local who just happens to love just loves being there. As a fan, they love me very much. I got to thank Coach K for those tickets that really that he sent them to us and to me directly and
Cool, Jackson.
and about the experience. We were happening to be at one of the lower sections of the game. We were like sitting near the alumni and one of the former players and parents that we were sitting right next to us, and we were like a few rows back from Coach K, and because he was in attendance, and but you can like hear the words whispering out of the mouth from Coach Shire's mouth directly to the players, and we were sitting right very close to the press box where they do all the radio analysis, the scoreboard, and where the announcer and where the announcer sits, and really it was, I think a moment that I will never forget for the rest of my life in the history books, and I definitely say it out there that the Green family had made it very special for me, for Coach K, which I want to thank him, and I and what I got to say to that is that it's a very cool experience, and there's nothing quite like it, and it will most definitely be one of the most memorable games that I will remember for the rest of my life. From my first basketball game at Cameron Indoor in person, seeing Cooper Flagg and Mason Gills, who my dad did a photo shoot with one time, and seeing them in depth close in person was a very special moment because you never get to have this opportunity very often. So I'm glad we were lucky and we were able to see him in depth close in person to what it was like than rather seeing it on TV like you would most of the time. But my biggest takeaway of it, it was very special. Nothing quite like it, and and there's nothing quite like being at Coach K Court at Cameron Indoor. It was definitely one to remember, and I will definitely remember it to the day I die. But yes, nothing quite like it. Very
Yeah,
special.
100%. Yeah, no, I feel I'm the exact same, Jack. It was a really cool experience. I think we've mentioned it on the show before, Cameron Indoor being kind of a unique stadium and not just college sports, but all of professional sports. We have this great tradition and this historic team playing in this sort of small, tight atmosphere that we were able to obviously be a part of on Tuesday. So that was great. And we did get to see some some big names. Coach K was there with he was hanging out with Shane Battier, who was being honored, one of the Duke greats from back in yesteryear. And then we saw obviously the great Duke players of today, including Cooper Flagg, who was had a great game. He was flying around, he was active defensively, blocking shots, getting to the rim. So I was pretty impressed with him, seeing him live and in person. Jack, same for you?
Definitely, definitely. It was definitely one of the most special moments that I will remember for attending any kind of sporting event or and the closest that I could get for any basketball game that that I've attended to for most of my lifetime. And yeah, you're right, Blake. There's nothing quite like it. Cameron Indoor, a very special place and very very historic. When you think about it, it's definitely like every time you walk in Cameron Indoor, it's like a museum of history, like going back in time and to the many decades and years that they have come for all the trophies and the history and the record breakings of the coaches and players. It has it all. So I think so yeah, Cameron Indoor, definitely one of the top sporting venues that we just marked off of our bucket list. But you never know. Our family could probably be attending more games there in the future. It definitely won't be our last, but yes, Cameron Indoor was a very special place.
100%. Mike, unfortunately, the Patriots couldn't take home the victory, but they still put in an impressive display. We're happy to report. So
Well, that's
nothing to be
good.
ashamed of from a Patriot perspective.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's wonderful.
yeah, so looking at this game, watching it on Tuesday, the Patriots did hang around George Mason, that is, in the first half for like 2 points, but since then it Duke just like went on a run the second half, and that was really we'll seal the game for the Blue Devils. But yeah, George Mason was hanging in there, but it was just too much Cooper Flag um and 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 the Blue Devils to handle for um for the second half of the remainder of that game.
No, 100%. It was a great sporting event, and I'm sure we will recap Duke season as they progress, starting to get into the ACC play now as well. But yeah, certainly a great way to kickstart the holiday season earlier this week. So yeah, thanks to Duke basketball and everyone from there for sure.
Yeah. The Duke is now ranked number 5 in the country, I believe.
That's
Right?
right. Yeah, they're
So
definitely
they're slowly
climbing up
moving
the
up.
rankings. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
How many spots is that ahead of Carolina? Just ask for it.
That's a good question. I think Carolina would not be particularly high
I
on
don't
the
think they're top
rankings
25.
compared to, yeah, no, I don't see them on the current rankings. So compared to their usual standards, it's a bit surprising, but for sure that game against Duke will
Calling
be.
from the fire.
Well, yeah,
Some of the Carolina
it's still
people are
early.
firing
No,
already.
yeah. It's still early, but I was telling everyone I'm just, I think that the game versus Carolina is always just a really intense atmosphere, regardless of how each team is performing. So that's always one to keep an eye out for sure. All right, so we've recapped that. Now I want to switch it over to a bit of football, and I want to start everyone with the college football playoffs happening this weekend. Yes, that's right, college football playoffs. We're not talking about a BCS. We're not talking about a 14 playoffs. This is a full-on playoff slate where we have first round, quarters, semis, and final. And the first round is taking place this weekend. We've got four pretty good matchups, I would say. Starting off with Friday night, a game that I'm really excited to watch in South Bend, Indiana, between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Indiana Hoosiers. As well, we've got SMU taking on Penn State in Happy Valley, Tennessee traveling to Columbus, take on Ohio State, and then Clemson heading over to Austin, Texas to take on the Longhorns. So I want to start with this game taking place in South Bend tomorrow night, a Friday night college football playoff game. This is an in-state battle. Teams that probably haven't played each other actually as much as you would have thought for being located in the same state of Indiana. But I think this is going to be a really fun one. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a bit of smash mouth football, I think. But ultimately, I do think Notre Dame is favored by a touchdown for a reason. They're going to have a raucous crowd there in South Bend. I'm going to jump to Mike first. I feel like you've got some interesting takes here on Notre Dame football. Are you excited for the game tomorrow night?
I am. And drum roll, this is my upset pick
I had a
for the
feeling
weekend.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Indiana will win 28-24.
So
He
what's
must have studied Notre Dame's history in big games in the playoffs.
yeah, what's the case? You think it's just Notre Dame
Well,
pressure getting to them?
when I looked at the strength of schedule, which is always what Indiana's been dogged on, is their strength of schedule. You look at Notre Dame's strength of schedule. Notre Dame really hasn't played anybody other than, I mean, they played Texas. They opened the season with Texas A&M, and they beat they beat the Aggies. Then they lost to Northern Illinois, and then they're on a 10-game winning streak. But that 10-game winning streak, they really didn't play anybody. And Indiana's coming in as the second total defense in the country. I think they're going to give Notre Dame a hard time, even though Notre Dame is the third-ranked rushing offense. But I think the Indiana is going to come in ready to play, and they got nothing to lose.
Yeah, no, that was going to be
so they're gonna be playing loose. But the winner of this game, unfortunately, goes on to the Sugar Bowl and has to play number 2 Georgia. So
not an easy path.
Not an easy path. But I got Indiana.
I definitely I appreciate the upset pick for sure, and I think that's definitely a case to be made of Indiana playing with house money going into this historic traditional football school of Notre Dame and kind of mucking the game up, making it a ground battle, low scoring, cold weather kind of thing. So I definitely could see that scenario happening. Jack, what are your feelings on this game?
Well, I know one thing. PJ Brown does not like Uncle Mike Roby's pick because Notre Dame has won their last few meetings at South Bend, given the fact that their last loss came against Northern Illinois at the buzzer for the game-winning field goal, and really Notre Dame is just too much. Marcus Freeman's believing those guys, and Notre Dame just has a better football team than Indiana does, and they're at South Bend. It's going to be the crowd's going to be into it. And then as far as as far as the weather and as far as the weather goes down there, it is going to be cold. We're talking 29 degrees at kickoff earlier today. So it's going to be a bundle up coat and sweatshirt kind of weather up there in South Bend. But Mike, I disagree with you. Notre Dame will win the game. They will own their rivals of the Hoosiers, and PJ Brown, Blake's buddy, does not like your prediction. But for me, I have Notre Dame win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Jackson. PJ, he already loved you so much. He's gonna love you more. And to Uncle Mike, not so fast. And this is what's gonna happen. Not only is Notre Dame gonna win, to Jackson's point, not only are they gonna win by 1 touchdown, not only are they gonna win by 2 touchdowns, Notre Dame is gonna win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
and just completely revamp this playoff situation. We need somebody to mix it up a little bit. So either Mike's gonna be spot on or I'm gonna be spot on, but we'll see what happens. Got to change it up a little bit.
Okay. Heavy on the Irish. Heavy on the
Hey,
Irish.
hey,
I only say that because Guinness is running out. There's a international shortage of Guinness.
I didn't know
Uh,
that one.
Guinness soft drink. Yes, yes, because of the Rugby World Cup, and so everybody is very high on the Irish right now.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna go with the Irish as well. I think it'll be close though. I think it'll be a low scoring game, cold weather. Indiana, like I said, will probably kind of slow the game down a bit from Notre Dame. I think they have enough quality in the end to move the ball. So I'm slightly on Notre Dame. I think Indiana will cover that 7 point spread though, is kind of my hunch. SMU Penn State. I don't know if anybody is feeling the Mustangs. I know Mike, your upset pick of the week was Indiana. I'm going with Penn State here in Happy Valley. I think SMU's a good story, kind of. I mean, they're in the ACC. I think people honestly still don't even realize they're in the ACC, and they kind of snuck in there because of that. I'm going Penn State. Anybody not going Penn State here?
I'm going Penn State as well, but is there a Penn State one of their top players sitting out of this game? Have you guys been tracking this at all?
Is that right now? I haven't been following that story. No.
The coach, the Penn State coach, and the SMU coach have both been very outspoken this week about how NIL is really changing the game for worse. I believe it kind of started because I think Penn State has a player sitting out of the game.
Or I think
Uh,
I think as well he was commenting on other teams. I think I know like a lot of teams, a lot of schools were. I think one team I blanking on who it was, but they had to drop out of their bowl game because
Marshall, the
Marshall,
Thundering
yeah,
Herd.
yeah, they had to drop out of their bowl game because of just kids leaving in the transfer portal. So yeah, it's definitely a big issue. But yeah, so Blake's going Penn State. Mike, you going Penn State as well here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Penn State on this. Penn State's only two losses this year were to Ohio State and Oregon.
Quality
And,
losses.
quality. SMU lost to BYU, but then they just lost to Clemson in the ACC championship.
And they should have lost to
Um,
Duke as well in Durham, by the way, but
yeah, there was an overtime
small
on the,
potatoes. Yeah.
yeah, they only beat them by one point. Uh, and they squeaked by Louisville. Well, they only beat Louisville by a touchdown, but I think the Penn State, they're rushing. They're going to control the ball, control the line of scrimmage. I don't see the Mustangs winning this one. And then Penn State then gets to go play in the Fiesta Bowl against Boise State, which would be a fun matchup to watch.
Indeed. Indeed. Jackson, you filling in the Nittany Lions here as well?
I do. I do. The only chance that SMU has a shot in this game is that they pack up their winter gear, gloves, those winter coats that the NFL uses, and just get some more protection on them because it is going to be one of the coldest games starting at kickoff. We're talking like 27 degrees in State College, so it's going to be a cold one out there, but. I'm not feeling any I'm not feeling or any smelling or any upset for those SMU Mustangs slash ponies. So their only shot is that they stay is that they will try to keep things close and just try to get more protection on their winter gear. But other than that, I am I am riding I am riding in with the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I think we're all kind of riding the lines there, so we'll see. Maybe that could be the upset. You never really know with this system, but I think obviously the fact that these games are home field as well will benefit a team like Penn State that kind of relies on that huge crowd, the big whiteout as well. We know that they have in out there in Happy Valley, so that'll be a fun one to watch. That will be tomorrow or Saturday afternoon as well, noon kickoff. So definitely want to keep an eye on there. let's jump over to the Volunteers taking a trip up north towards Columbus. Now, this is an interesting matchup. This is a 9 versus an 8 seed. So this is a coin flip, right? The committee assigns the seeds based on what they think. This is kind of a bit of a controversial subject because the team that's the 8 seed gets the home game, right, versus a 9 seed, and you can argue an 8 versus a 9 seed in kind of the CFP rankings. Is there that much of a difference? So this is definitely going to be a litmus test to see if this first round home field advantages are going to really make a big difference. And we know Ohio State's been under a bit of pressure. Head coach Ryan Day specifically been under a bit of pressure given that loss in the last regular season game against Michigan. They weren't present in the Big Ten championship game, obviously, but they still found their way into the playoffs. So you could say, you could argue Tennessee's kind of coming in here with a bit of swagger, given the fact that Ohio State, there's been a few question marks about this team, maybe even going as far back as last year. And then this year, obviously, they put together a decent showing and they've obviously made the playoffs. But I'm kind of feeling the Tennessee Volunteers here just because of the pressure factor that's building up in Columbus. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go Tennessee by a field goal here. I don't know, Mike. Am I crazy to think that?
No, this is a coin flip. I think either team could win this game, but I'm going to go with Ohio State playing at home, and I think their players will be fired up because of the last time they played at home and they ended up losing to their rival, Michigan. As long as the Buckeyes don't look ahead to the next game in the Rose Bowl against Oregon, I think they'll squeak by. But I think this is definitely a coin flip. Tennessee could very well win it.
I agree with Mike. Fun fact, guys: Tennessee, the Volunteers athletic director.
Jack, what do you say?
What about him?
Oh, I was going to say the Tennessee Volunteers are the only team right now currently ranked in the top 10 of baseball, football, and basketball.
Yeah, they're number one seed in basketball, right?
Number one seed overall right now in the men's college basketball rankings.
And number 9 in baseball right now in preseason polls. So the Volunteers.
They are the defending national champions for a reason. You're not wrong about that.
That AD is looking good. I'll tell you what, there was an NC State coach that said survive in advance. And when you're playing Ohio State, I think either one of these teams could have won the national championship. So just survive in advance.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. Yeah. Well, Jack, what are you feeling for this matchup?
So to piggyback on what Uncle Mike said about this game, that is 4 straight losses to your rival for the school up north against Michigan.
That's tough.
Yes. That versus everybody else, they have won their last they have won every single previous matchups. But against Michigan, to me, it just becomes a whole nother animal. So really when I look at it, that Michigan team, by the way, as I mentioned on this very show last week, that they did it without Jim Harbaugh, and they started with a walk-on quarterback from high school, and just showed up, and he figured that he wasn't afraid to do it in the horseshoe, and he just know that he just was afraid, but somehow showed, to me, that Michigan team in that game just showed no quit, and that was really what caused Ohio State to lose that game. Now, back to this matchup. I do think it'll be a very close game. But what I think it's going to come down to is can this Tennessee team make those big plays against this against with what Will Howard can really can bring you and along with their running backs and their offense and and to me, Ohio State does, however, have a huge holes on their defense. It's just going to come down to which team makes the big plays last is going to determine who wins the game. So I think it's going to come down to that. So for me, I think Ohio State will win this game by at least a one score close game touchdown. But like Uncle Mike said, this is going to be a pick 'em coin flip game. So this could be decided either way. It's just going to be one of those unpredicted games. College Gaming will be there, as far as I know. They will also be there tomorrow afternoon for the Notre Dame Indiana game. They'll also be there in Columbus as well. So yeah, I'm with Mike. Ohio State will win the game closer, but it will definitely be one of those close coin flip games for sure. No question about it.
No, for sure. And that's kind of that 9-8 matchup in the first round as well as the one that if the, obviously this current format will continue for the foreseeable future, that we'll see a lot of those teams that are probably closely matched, generating a good a good matchup. So definitely a fun one to keep an eye on Saturday night for sure. And then our last matchup is, well, this is not the Orange Bowl, quote unquote, but it's two teams that play in orange. So I'll call it the unofficial Orange Bowl, right? With Clemson traveling down to Austin, like I mentioned earlier, taking on the Longhorns. I personally, Texas is favored by 12 points, and I can see why. They're playing at home. Clemson, you could, I mean, you can, well, it's not even really much of an argument. They definitely snuck their way into the playoffs because they're the 12th of the 12 teams that got in, right? And so, um, personally, I'm still a bit perplexed as to why the committee let in two ACC teams in that 11 and 12 seed. It's kind of seemed like they're just shoehorning them in for those last couple of spots. Because like I said, the teams that get the automatic buys or the top ranked conference team. So I'm not really sure. Well, I understand letting in one ACC team, obviously, and giving them a lower seed, but that's a discussion for another day. I mean, personally, I would have liked to seen Alabama traveling to Penn State and taking on them, but obviously the committee has to be as fair and equitable as possible. So,
well, Clemson won the ACC, so that's why they're in.
correct, but they got boat raced against South Carolina the last regular season game.
Oh yeah.
I think South Carolina honestly themselves had a case to sneak into the playoffs there, and
yeah,
I still think there's a discussion to be had in terms of that weighting of the conferences, because the way that conference realignment has happened this past year, there's so much quality in the SEC and the Big Ten that possibly weighting the wins and losses versus an ACC or an SEC team is a bit of a tricky feat to do for this committee. But obviously, we have the rankings now, so that's a discussion for the future. But Clemson going to Texas, I've got the horns big here, man. I just don't see a scenario where the horns. I mean, unless it's just like a pressure letdown and it just kind of the kind of the occasion gets to them. But Mike, your horns up as well, huh?
Yeah. So just a correction, Texas wears burnt orange.
So we got burnt orange versus whatever orange Clemson decides
but
considers themselves, right?
Yeah, the weather's going to be 60 degrees in Austin. Good football weather. I don't see Clemson winning this one. I think the Texas will end up winning by 17 points. Texas' only two losses this year were both to Georgia. And the last one was a loss in overtime on the December 7th. Clemson lost to South Carolina, like you mentioned earlier. They also lost to Louisville, and they got blown out by Georgia. So, yeah, I don't. Clemson would have to play a perfect game. Klubnik would have to be just absolutely perfect in order to beat Texas, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah. And by the way, Mike, you mentioned about weather. That I forgot to mention that. Yeah, Columbus is going to be the coldest game out of all the a- out of all the temperatures combined for where the side of the game takes place. For SEC team it is used to cold weather, but not like for what they're about to see up in Columbus, Ohio, compared to like say in Tennessee or Knoxville or Nashville, for example, where my brother used to go to go to school at during his time in college. But to your point on this, but in Texas is going to be the warmest. We're talking about your point about that, Mike. It's going to be like exactly 61 degrees there at kickoff. Should be
That's nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like you said. But back to my point on the Texas Clemson matchup. I also do have Texas win this game. Dabo Swinney and Clemson will be definitely hanging in this thing and possibly go back and forth and possibly cut it to half. But I just think Texas is going to bounce back from the loss to Georgia in the SEC championship game. And Cooley Ewers, if healthy, is going to play his best game. And one of his go-to receivers and targets are going to be getting more yards and points on the board. And maybe Conahan and Bebo will be there. It's going to be a raucous crowd in the warmest football weather out there in Austin. So I think the fans will be into it. Maybe McConaughey will be cheering loud, and the and and those Longhorns and those Hook'em horns will be cheering them on loud. They'll be winning the game, and I got the Longhorns winning by 2 scores.
Jackson, you said it right. All right.
All right, all right.
Matthew McConaughey.
McConaughey once said.
Hook'em horns.
All right.
All right. Hook'em
All
horns.
right,
baby.
all right, all
Texas
right, all
wins.
right, all right, all right, all right, all right.
Burnt beats regular, Jackson. Burnt beats regular, just like Mike likes his steaks. He likes his steaks.
God, all right, all right, all
Burnt
right.
beats regular.
You know, I can't help but think what Blake L was saying a couple weeks ago about the playoffs. I think Texas losing to Georgia in the SEC championship really probably helped them in the seeding, because then if they beat Clemson, then they go on to play Arizona State in the Peach Bowl, which would be the easiest road to come into the semifinals. So I like Texas's chances to at least advance into the semifinals.
Yeah, I think that's
to being a Texas Georgia rematch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, not to just totally discredit the CFP system, but I think that's a good point in that you could argue Georgia, like you said, would have to play possibly Notre Dame and then Penn State to make it to the semifinals, versus if Texas wins, they'll have to play Arizona State, and then they could still have to play Oregon. So potentially that's going to be a tough matchup. But I do still think this automatic bid for the 4 highest conference champions is, I'm not trying to be too harsh, but I do think it's a bit of a joke, to be honest, because I like Arizona State and I like Boise State, and I think they're good stories to include them in the playoffs. But giving them a first round bye for winning their conference when there's no restrictions on who can be in what conference, because all the best teams are in 2 conferences. So I can't really square that circle in terms of like, why we're giving Arizona State a pass, why we're giving Boise State a pass, and then we're kind of lopsiding the bracket to begin with. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how the bracket pans out this year, and then kind of the end result of that to see kind of if we can need to make changes and if we can analyze it, after the fact.
Yeah. Well, the easiest thing for them to do is to expand to a 16 team playoff with no buys for anybody. So your first round is 8 games, and then you go down, or you go from there. You play the same number of weekends or games, but you wouldn't have any buys.
Yeah, and I think the whole
which by the way would make this more exciting if you're a college football fan, like I am, or we are in this whole family, which could really make it which would really make it a lot like the March Madness basketball kind of feel, which is exactly that, which is where the sport of college football is heading to, and I can certainly relate to what Uncle Mike is saying. So and and so I do think with the bracket coming out, it will definitely be interesting when this 2-year window for this committee built on this prior to the 2026 season. So yeah, lots to be look forward to. But who knows? Maybe our family should join a bracket pool on this for this college football playoff for a Gerke household. You never know. But you're right, Mike. Lots to be looked forward to, and the sport of college football is getting better and better each year. I can definitely feel something for the change. That's what's going forward for the future of the sport of college football.
Gentlemen, I'd like to switch our attention over to the National Football League, and I want to do a bit of a preview of the games we have this week, plus a couple of games next week, including a game on Christmas as well, which two games on Christmas actually that we should mention, but just to kind of give a recap of where we stand in terms of the playoff picture in the NFL. If we're looking at the AFC, the Chiefs, obviously at 13-1, are in pole position to secure that first round bye with the number 1 seed. The Buffalo Bills playing good football still. A great win last weekend in Detroit, sitting at 11-3 and top of the AFC East. Pittsburgh right now is currently leading the AFC North, but they do have a big matchup this weekend against their division rivals in Pittsburgh. As well, Houston kind of leading the AFC South division. That's not particularly great anyway, so that's kind of a bit of a write-off. And then as well for those wild cards, you've got either Pittsburgh/Baltimore, Denver, and then the Chargers right now kind of slotting in there. So probably it'd be tough to see Kansas City losing out on that top seed, but certainly the AFC North position in terms of who wins the division / who goes into the wild card is one to keep an eye on. Certainly. And then we've got the matchup this weekend, obviously on Saturday afternoon. So if you're planning on watching the Clemson Texas game, you're going to have to dual screen that with the Steelers versus the Ravens on Saturday. So big football weekend, obviously. So everyone break out your chips and dip and grab a nice drink for yourself on the couch on Saturday, because lots of games going on.
Yeah, that's going to be played in Baltimore.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. And if you remember the game a couple weeks ago, they played. Pittsburgh ended up winning a bit of a slugfest in at Pittsburgh, right, where they were able to kind of slow down Lamar and Henry. So they'll look to bounce back from that one, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget about Zay Flowers too. So he's definitely at his best when he plays healthy. But to your point on the Steelers Ravens game, something that we're gonna have to keep our eye on, because he's TJ Watt's going to be questionable for this game from an injury that he suffered in the Battle of Pennsylvania game last week. So that's something that we're going to have to watch.
It wasn't much of a battle, in my opinion.
Who will not play in this game, which is going to be huge, because without him, the Steelers are a different different offense and a different team without one of their best leaders on the team. But if you're the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, you should probably take advantage of that, given the fact that the Steelers would be without one of their best players. If TJ Watt's not playing 100% healthy, then that should be the advantage for the Baltimore Ravens in that case.
100%. Yeah, he's kind of the leader on that defense. You could argue he's a leader on that whole team, TJ Watt. So yeah, no, that's a good point to bring that up, Jackson, for sure. And then as well in the NFC playoff picture, bit of a bout right now, you would argue, between Detroit and Philadelphia for that top seed. Detroit losing last week against Buffalo. Philadelphia, I believe they've won, was it 10 games?
10,
Is that right?
10-game winning streak, yes.
It's pretty impressive. And I think this team is kind of, obviously there's been a few headlines here and there about Jalen Hurts feuding with teammates, or Nick Sirianni causing distractions here
That's
and
just
there.
Philadelphia.
Exactly. That's just kind of, the Eagles never
That's
really
what Philly does.
Exactly. Yeah, the Eagles never really have a normal week, do they?
Yeah.
They kind of just are one of those teams that always has some sort of storyline going, but at the same time, they're winning the ball games, and you can't say they're beating the teams. They're beating Pittsburgh, who have had a good record this year, and I think we'll see how they end up finishing the year if they can get that bye seed, but they've looked pretty strong.
Their defense is, I believe, now ranked number 1.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
back in the 1990s, there was a slogan, and it said, "Want to be like Mike." And what a move by the Atlanta Falcons to with the playoff push, put in Michael Penix Jr. Kind of excited about that. How do you guys feel about that? Excited to watch him try to push him into the playoffs?
Does that mean that the Jets will go get Kirk Cousins for next year?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins might be playing in the XFL next year for all we know. Yeah, this is kind of something that I'm not too surprised happened at all. Like, I know, Blake, you mentioned obviously Penix coming in, and he was a top 10 draft pick. So usually a top 10 draft pick plays at some point in the season. I think they put him in a couple times, kind of when they were already winning or losing by a lot in that end of the fourth quarter kind of thing. But I mean, you can't really argue with the decision just from a week to week basis, because Cousins has been playing pretty poorly the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, there's still a playoff spot up for grabs in the NFC South. Currently, the Buccaneers are 8-6. The Falcons are 7-7. But if the Falcons are able to even up on the Buccaneers, they would have a tiebreaker, beating them twice. So I'm not surprised that it happened, given the poor play of Cousins, and you took this guy so high, so you might as well give him a chance, right?
Yeah. I tell you, another guy who played well last weekend was Spencer Rattler. I was glad that the Saints did not play him the whole game.
Our former South Carolina Gamecock.
Yeah, he had a tremendous second half.
Yeah, Will. I bet you that if you were watching the game, Malcolm, like, you were just holding your breath and you're feeling nervous because the Saints just like scored the touchdown right before time expired, and then once you realized the Saints were going for 2, you were just like probably on the TV screen and holding your breath and feeling nervous and thought they were going to lose the game, except it went incomplete, and then you were all of a sudden just take a deep breath.
Well, I was glad they went for 2, because I didn't want it to go into overtime, because the way the Saints were playing, they probably would have won in overtime. So I was glad that they went for they tried for the victory. But it's on to the Eagles this week.
Yeah, and given the fact that the Commanders could really address their kicking game, because their field goal prior to this late in the second half wasn't really that great from his yards kicking. So we've got to do a better. So they got to address that, and then besides that, their defense to me just really wasn't really their best effort and showed up. But offensively, I do think Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, his main target, was really right on track from from their best start. But their offense
Yeah,
was impressive, but their defense could really get a lot of work done from that side of the ball. So yeah, that's something that's something that they should improve on because, like you said, Mike, Eagles week. Oh, it's going to be a
yeah.
huge matchup. You know how these divisional games go down.
We
Um,
we
um,
can't have Daniels getting sacked 8 times like they did
yeah,
against.
because those Eagles pass rush and defense is one of the best in the league. And I hate to tell you this, Mike, but your Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat your Commanders this Sunday, and it will be an Eagles sellout crowd at Northwest Stadium, and you're going to have a hard and not just you're going to that Danny Daniels and offensive line is going to have a hard time for the Eagles to stop them on the defensive side, but the Commanders' defense is just going to have a lot of holes and a lot of blown coverage and really and really and, and really a lot of allowed more yards because you're going to have a hard time slowing down AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley. And as a matter of fact, Mike, I have one souvenir signed by Saquon Barkley because of how I know that my family and I love the Eagles, and I have it right here. It's a signed football that I got from him, so it's very special. And he did it, and he signed it just for me because of how I love this team and I love him as a fan. Played in the fantasy this season, and he's a very special leader guy, and I'm here to tell you, Mike, that your Commanders are going to have a hard time slowing down my guy, Saquon Barkley. Eagles travel well. It's going to be a very easy trip for them down
Eagles fly well.
I from Philly to DC. It's going to be a very easy trip for them, and the Eagles always show up on road games. It'll definitely be the easiest for sure, given the fact that that's the NFC East showdown. Eagles will win this game. I say 2 scores. Um,
Hey Jackson, watch this.
and-
Not so fast because I
What?
messed up Uncle Mike's upset of the week earlier. Guess what my upset of the week is?
what?
Uncle Mike's Commanders go into Philly, eat all their cheesesteaks, and walk out of there with a victory.
No way that happens.
Upset alert. Upset alert.
Because not so fast, Blake. I disagree
Oh,
with you.
he's countering your
Eagles
not so
are
fast.
going to
Not so fast.
are going to beat the Commanders again. They are going to sweep Uncle Mike's Commanders. Fly, Eagles, fly at Northwest Stadium. I want to make my dad's going to be proud for all of his Philly friends. Not so much for Uncle Mike's hometown team and for his DC friends. The Eagles all the way. Fly, Eagles, fly. Get the victory in a 2-score game. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Marshawn Lattimore intercepts and goes 6. He takes it to the interception into the end zone to win the game for the Commanders.
Okay. I think we've obviously we've got a lot of attention paid to this game this week on Good Guy Sports, so we'll definitely keep an eye on it. And obviously for the playoff implications in the NFC as well. Washington still securing that last spot in the 7 seed.
Who would have thought?
They're hanging on to it. And
Who would have thought that during spring last year in NFL camp over the summer that the Commanders would still be in the playoff hunt. So I'm still excited.
No,
win or lose.
And you should be. It's been an impressive season so far from Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team. So I think just if they're able to secure a playoff spot at some point these next couple of weeks, it'll be a huge victory for that franchise. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. I want to close out the show with, I mentioned it earlier, I have prepared a Christmas trivia quiz. Now, what I've done here is prepared 10 questions. About half of them are Christmas related, about half of them are sports related. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. And so because we're all virtual on Zoom, I think probably what we'll do is we'll say the first person to shout out the answer here will get the points. So I've got the questions prepared. Is everyone ready?
We're ready.
Yes,
Go.
Philadelphia Eagles through Snowballs and Santa Claus. Answer. Final answer.
That is not one of the questions, but it probably should have been. Depending on how this goes, you might get some bonus points for that one, Blake. So be prepared. Okay, here we go. First question. I'm starting off tough here, by the way. So, what sports name? So the name of a sport is also the name of a holiday in the UK.
Boxing.
Correct.
Boxing, yeah.
Correct.
Mike. Nice.
Mike's got that one first. Yes, Boxing Day.
Canada celebrates Boxing Day.
Yeah. Boxing Day is the day after Christmas in the UK. I think if I'm getting, I don't have the full details pulled up, but I believe the origin of the holiday was that people that like worked in like service jobs used to get like a bit of a gift wrapped up in a box to take home with them like after they worked on Christmas. So it was the day after Christmas, something like that. I don't know if you have that background, Mike, as well, but that's something like that, right?
Something like that. Yeah, it was started with the people who in service. They would have to work on Christmas Day, and then they would have the day off the day after Christmas. And
Right.
yeah, right.
Okay. Question number 2. This is a Christmas question. What item brought Frosty the Snowman to life?
His hat.
So in the song, what item brought Frosty to life? It was a
stovepipe hat.
Hat.
hat. That is correct. Mike and Jackson are both correct. It's an old silk hat, as the song
silk
goes.
hat.
An old silk hat for Frosty. Okay. Question number 3. This one, I'm going to ask Jackson this one. What NFL team was the first team to finish with a record of 0-16? Jackson, this is your question.
0-16. Oh, I think I know what it is. The Detroit Lions.
That is correct. That is correct. The Detroit Lions finished 0-16. And obviously that's a far cry from the current team. They're one of the best teams in the NFL now, but they've certainly had a checkered past. So that's good knowledge from you there, Jackson. I'm gonna switch to asking individually now. Mike Roby, I'm gonna ask you this next question. Question number 4. This is a tough one, but I'm asking you because I think you'll know this one. What is the best-selling Christmas song of all time? I'll give you a hint. It's an old artist. It's not like a modern one.
White Christmas.
Correct. Do you know what the artist?
Irving Berlin he wrote it.
Yeah, well, close. It was Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
No, I'm giving you.
He sang it in 2 movies.
Correct.
Holiday Inn, which was the first one. They came out in the early 40s. And the movie White Christmas. They came out in about 1954.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's excellent knowledge. Yeah, I'm very impressed by that. Yeah. White Christmas. There you go, Mike. All right, Blake Lineberger, next question is for you. We're on question 5 now. What month do all 4 of the major American sports play at the same time?
Ooh, it's probably gonna be when is it when baseball's at the end or the beginning? It's either gonna be April or it's gonna be
A bit later. I'll give you a hint. It's definitely a bit later in the year.
Okay, so it's towards the I'm just gonna go with let's go with April.
Reggie Jackson was called Mr.
October.
There you go. Yes, October. So you were correct with your first thinking where baseball playoffs, I think Blake might have jumped off, but baseball playoffs in October. Obviously, the NFL is going on. Hockey starts in October as well. And then same thing with the NBA as well, kind of the start of the season. So you weren't too far off there with November, Blake, but kind of that crossing of all. It's my personally one of my favorite months of the year because of that, with all the four sports crossing over, right? So it's always a good time.
And Halloween.
That too as well. That too as well.
And don't forget about Easter too. When the Easter
Sure.
Bunny comes.
No,
So-
April is a good month as well because we have opening day plus the NBA and NHL playoffs. So you not a bad effort at all. Not a bad effort at all because you got three big events going on. So yeah, good shout, good shout. Okay, I'm gonna give this next question to Uncle Mike, and the question is: in the song "12 Days of Christmas," what gift was given on the seventh day? The seventh day.
Seven Lords of Leaping.
Ooh, close, but not quite right.
No cigar.
Seven swans,
Swans a
swimming
swimming.
is the answer we're
Yeah.
looking for. Yeah, Jackson, did you know that one?
I did. I think that
Oh,
I think
you're
that
just saying that after the
I
fact.
think that Uncle Mike just really forgot about it.
No, you didn't know that.
Well, I do, but Uncle Mike just kind of forgot about it, didn't know about it, but I do. So
All right. Well, the
Yeah.
next question's for you, Jack. So you better get prepared. You ready?
mhm.
Which song is played in the eighth inning of every Boston Red Sox game at Fenway Park? The middle of the eighth inning.
Oh, that's easy. Sweet Caroline.
Ba, ba, ba.
The many times of your summer. So good. So good. So good. So
All
good.
right, all right.
I sing like ba ba ba. You got da.
Very nice, very nice. All right, credit to you. I didn't think you'd get it that quickly, Jack. I'm very impressed by that knowledge.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. All right, we've got a couple more questions here. Question number 8. I'm going to go to Blake Lineberger on this one. The movie, this is a Christmas question. The movie Miracle on 34th Street was based on a real life department store. Name the store that it was based off of. Department store. If you don't know it, you can select somebody to give you a clue from either Mike or Jack.
I'm gonna guess Sears and Roebuck. I'm gonna go old school.
Close, but not correct. Uncle Mike, do you have a clue, a hint for him? Or you can just tell us the answer, maybe, if you know it.
Well, I'm thinking the two stores. I can't do they have a Thanksgiving Day parade?
It's possible.
That's
Possibly.
good.
I think you're on the right path there.
Okay.
Oh, is that it? Oh, Macy's. I thought he was answering. I'm
You
gonna
got
guess
it,
it.
Macy's. There we go. As long as somebody says the answer. Yes, Macy's. That is
so close. Come on, Mike. You got this. You're so close.
that is correct. Yes. I know Miracle on 34th Street, a lot of people's favorite Christmas movie. Are you guys fans of that movie at all? Or?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a classic for sure. All right, I got 2 more questions prepared here. I'm gonna ask, let's see, I've got an NBA related question here. I think I'm gonna ask Uncle Mike this one. All right, you know what? I'm gonna ask, this will be a collaborative one because this might be a tricky one. I want anybody to name me who the first European-born player was to win the NBA MVP award. European-born.
For the Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki.
Correct. Blake Lineberger. Very
Okay.
nice.
All right.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, he was the first one, and obviously since then we've had quite a few of the likes of Nikola Jokic obviously winning multiple MVPs in the past couple of years, so more of a common occurrence.
I would credit Dirk with the starting the emergence of a big man, a center, or a power forward shooting a three ball, being okay shooting a three ball. I would credit him with kind of being the torchbearer for that.
100%. 100%. Okay. Our last Christmas quiz, and there are three distinct answers for this question. So I want each of our members here, Blake Lineberger, Jackson, and Mike, to think of one answer for each of these questions. Now, here's the question. 3 of Santa's reindeer have names that start with the letter D. I want each of you to name one of those reindeer. I'll start with Uncle Mike. Can you name me a reindeer that begins with the letter D?
Donner.
Donner. Correct. Blake Lineberger, do you have a reindeer beginning with the letter D?
Let's go with Dasher.
Dasher is correct. We've got Donner and Dasher. Jackson, the last reindeer is up to you, beginning with the letter D.
Dixon.
No. Now, I'm going to give you a clue, though. When you go to a party and you go on the floor, what do?
Oh, Dancer.
Yes, that is correct. I love it. Very nice, gentlemen. Dasher, Dancer, and Donner, the 3 reindeers beginning with D.
Yeah. Blake, I got a question for you.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh,
which one?
Well, any of you.
Anybody named Blake.
When was the longest game in the NFL played, and by what 2 teams?
That is a good question.
This is a Christmas question.
So was it a game that was played on Christmas?
Yes.
I have a feeling this was a game that was probably long ago, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Christmas Day, 1971.
Were the Dolphins involved?
The Dolphins were involved. The Dolphins won the game. Who did they beat?
I got half of it right.
I don't know.
They beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24 after 82 minutes and 40 seconds.
Wow.
Went to 2 overtimes.
2 overtimes. So that's
two
the
overtime
longest
periods.
game in history. Wow.
The longest game in NFL history occurred on Christmas Day.
That's a great sports Christmas trivia question there, Mike.
I didn't know that until you told me. Well, I guess I'm learning something new every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks everyone for participating in the Christmas sports trivia quiz. And I think we will count the scores, and the winner will be receiving a prize in the mail. So be expecting that. Whoever won, obviously, the scorers will confer after we finish our recording and figure out who the victor was. But an excellent showing from all three panelists here. So congratulations to all of you. All right. Well, I think that brings us to an end of the Good Guy Sports Holiday Special for 2024. I want to thank Jackson, Mike, and B.L. Lineberger for joining us on what was a wonderful Christmas episode. And I just want to say, on behalf of Good Guy Sports, I want to wish everyone here and everyone who's watching as well a very Merry Christmas. And we hope that you enjoy the holidays and have some great quality time with family and friends and all of your loved ones. So Jackson, Mike, and Blake, just want to thank you for joining us. And I hope you all have a great holidays amongst yourselves as well.
Thank you.
Happy
Christmas.
Happy holidays to all you guys.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everyone. And we'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas and peace on earth.
Merry Christmas, Mike. B.L. Lineberger. Happy holidays, and we will see you next year on a return here on Good Guy Sports.